I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and within a couple of hours' drive are two national forests, the Manistee and the Huron National Forest. I went to the Manistee on the western part of the mitten and drove as far as I could to get out into the wilderness. I set up my tarp and built a fire pit. I set up the wood for a fire but didn't light it. Sometimes I just get a fire ready without lighting it. I call this an emergency fire. I do this because I'm usually camping alone and I need to get myself out of a jam, not hope someone will find me at the right moment. So say I woke up in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night and the wind has knocked down my tarp. I need to get out of my sleeping bag and fix the tarp. A bright, warm fire is very helpful in such situations, unless the winds are too strong to safely have a fire. Say I lose something essential in the dark, my glasses or my flashlight. I can light the emergency fire I laid out before going to sleep, and now I have a light and heat and time to search for my stuff. If I have animals come into my camp in the middle of the night, I can light a fire with one match and it will burn on its own with no tending for an hour or more. It's a top-down type of fire, where the tinder and the kindling are above the larger sticks and logs, so the fire burns from the top down. This is a good way to arrange a fire for several reasons. First, if you put the kindling below the main bundle of sticks and logs, then light the kindling, the flames go upward, igniting the larger pieces above it. But while those logs are burning, they're burning faster than they need to, which I don't like because collecting wood takes time and effort. They're also in the way of the bright flames that are throwing off lots of heat, so lots of heat doesn't shine on me. It shines on the burning logs themselves within the fire. The flames of a top-down fire are brighter and hotter. Now this might be the coolest fire starter ever. A couple of blobs of petroleum jelly and some shaved wood. The way I've laid out the fire is important to control the burn. I have two large green pine logs to form the base and contain the coals. Then I've pounded 4 sticks into the ground outside these logs to contain the burning logs and sticks. These upright sticks are green too, so they won't burn up for a long, long time. I select a camp near down trees, both green and seasoned, one for the frame of the fire and the uprights, and the other for seasoned wood for campfire fuel. I collect seasoned wood poles and arrange them between the 4 uprights according to thickness, the thickest ones on the bottom. Since I don't like wasting effort, I don't chop these poles into lengths that will fit into the fire pit. I let the fire slowly burn them to length and then push the unburned parts into the fire as the burned parts become coals. The coals fall into the pit formed by the 2 large green logs that form the base. To keep the fire from spreading outside of the 2 large green logs that form the base of the fire pit, I put a few green sticks between them at their ends. Green wood won't burn well because it's full of sap, which is mostly water, which has to steam away before the wood itself can get to a high enough temperature to ignite. So green sticks make a great fire stopper. We can't have the fire jumping out the ends of our fire pit and burning its way across the landscape, so we plug the ends with a few green sticks. You can see I've time-lapsed this, but it was about 27 minutes before the heat had made it warm enough that it was a smart thing for me to get out of my sleeping bag and thaw out my can of soup, which I planned to have. I didn't have it at dinner time. I didn't light this fire at dinner time because the wind was too high and it was still warm. So in the middle of the night, I wanted some warm soup. Got out and enjoyed the hot fire. It was real nice. Was a little too close to the tarp, but I left taut line hitches on the tarp so that I could adjust it. Well, that fire worked out well, didn't it? I think so. real close to the tarp. That's why I'm standing up instead of laying down. Let these coals burn down a lot before I get back in bed. It is nice and warm. That's for sure. Now, from in here, it's nice and warm. See, I took the branches and they're green enough that they're not going to catch fire from these sparks. And I got some debris here. Sort of catching the heat in on three sides. And it is nice and warm in here. When the coals burn down, I'll heat up the soup. Beef barley. You might have noticed that I didn't light this fire with a bow drill or flint and steel or take it easy any other way. I have a rule because I travel alone in the woods so much. Never go into the woods without 2 lighters and a knife. The knife, in case you need to defend yourself or cut something. There's a whole bunch of reasons you might need a knife. And lighters, there are 2 because one might fail. But one might last you all summer, all winter. You don't know. So that's why I carry 2. But if you look at any survival show, a full 1/3 of that show is stress over how they're going to get a fire going in these conditions. Sometimes there are conditions where you cannot get a fire going with a bow drill or flint and steel. So I cannot risk my safety. I'm not doing some kind of survival show. And so I can't mess around with that. And it's also unrealistic to teach people that don't know how to camp or build a fire that they should hold themselves to this high standard of being able to do it by rubbing 2 sticks together. I gotta make sure it's out. No trace. Good camp. See where the leaf bed was and how it gets packed down like that. Now's a great time to click like and subscribe. Also click the notification bell because when I went out on this weekend trip, I built the leaf bed. I want to show you how to do that in an upcoming video. You want to get notified of that. How I made the rake that I used to rake the debris off the ground to build a fire pit and get the tarp site ready. And a whole bunch of other stuff is in the works. Good camp. So subscribe.